Hey, it's Travel Gigolo and we're at Robin's Camp in Hwange National Park in Zimbabwe. From the Bulawayo-Victoria Falls Highway, which is a tarred road, turn off about 60 k's from Victoria Falls via Matetsi, that's all dirt road, all the way to Nantwich Gate, and from Nantwich Gate through to Robin's Camp. How to get here? There's a couple of ways. You can come from Bulawayo, which is probably the most obvious way generally for most people, otherwise from Victoria Falls as well. Or there's Pandamatenga border post, which is on the border of Hwange National Park. That's closed right now because of COVID restrictions. So those are three ways to get here. To get to Robin's Camp itself, you can drive through the park as well from different directions, but the route I've given is the quickest way to get here from the tarred road. The route via Nantwich Gate is also the recommended route from Robin's Camp management. So the gravel road through Matetsi, through Nantwich to Robin's Camp is pretty good. You don't need any kind of special vehicle to traverse it. It's been graded and it's been managed pretty well, so it's quite easy driving down that road. Now, because it's the rainy season while we're here, there's a couple of small sections that are muddy, but really just a couple of meters, nothing difficult to get through. Now, because the road's quite decent, you can get here with a trailer or a caravan or whatever it is that you are going to camp with. Pretty easy to get here. I don't think you need any kind of special arrangements in that respect. You could probably drive here, I think, with a normal caravan. Rainy season may be a little bit difficult because there's one or two small patches of muddiness, but nothing fantastic that you need to really worry about. Now, straight off the bat, this is a great campsite. The campsite setting is really beautiful. It's amongst a set of mopani trees, so it feels very natural. It's very similar. In fact, it's almost identical to the environment outside. What do you get with your campsite? There's a pretty cool concrete bench and table, so that's nice to prepare your stuff on and to put stuff on when you're camping and moving around and doing stuff. And you can sit there and eat, of course, and you can prepare your food there if you've got a gas stove, for example. Speaking of preparing foods, there is a braai paste that is pretty cool as well, very nicely constructed, very convenient, and you can order firewood too for your braai place. Very nice, newly constructed ablution facilities. Those have a solar geyser, so you get a really nice hot shower in the evening, although it is really hot here, so you may not need the hot shower, but it's really great in that respect. So there are showers and there are flush toilets and there are basins as well with mirrors. And when you're camping like us for the last couple of weeks, you hardly see a mirror, so kind of shocking to see yourself in the mirror after a few weeks. But yes, really nice ablution facilities. So there's hot water from the solar geysers, nice pressure, very good. There's cold water as well. The water here is from a borehole and it is drinkable, so we are using the water on the campsite. There's water at the ablutions and there's also a tap that's shared amongst every little group of campsites too, so you have access to drinkable water. There's electricity at the campsite. There's not always electricity in Zimbabwe though. So when we got here, the power was down for a day or so. However, they did have a generator, so we did have access to electricity in the evening. So there is electricity. There are both square sockets and round sockets, so you can fit in a normal Zimbabwe 15 amp plug top, or you can fit in a round 13 amp plug top like we have in South Africa, for example. There is lighting, so there's a lamp at each campsite, which is also pretty cool. We don't normally use the lights that much, but because there are a lot of insects in this part of the world, it's actually nice to have the light, so you can switch it on, all the insects go to the light, and then you can have your braai in peace. Lots of shade. Very nice and very important when you are in the Zambezi River Valley or close to the Zambezi River Valley. So it's really nice. There's a lot of shade. There's a lot of mopani trees here. They're quite closely spaced as well. So you've got shade throughout the day. The campsite area itself is cleared out. So there's a little clearing where you can park your car and where you can put up your tent, or where you can park your car, your caravan or your trailer, whatever the case is. So the shade is really good, and it's really an important aspect for us, especially in this really hot environment. There's no lawn. It is basically just bare ground, which is fine. It's not muddy. And it has rained a couple of times before we got here. When we've been here in the last couple of days, it hasn't rained. It's nice and flat. There are some obvious drainage channels on the site. So as usual, when you set up your camp, just be aware of that. If there is a thunderstorm, which is quite the norm in these areas here, you can get quite a downpour in quite a short period of time. Then just set up your tent and be aware of that. But we've had no issues, and it's pretty obvious where the water flows on the site. This is a fenced campsite. It's a fenced campsite within the Hwange National Park, which is the Big 5 game park. Our campsite number 13, and there's a couple of other campsites are on the boundary as well. So this is very cool because you're looking out at the park and there's zebras going past and impala and warthog. So really cool from that point of view. There are a number of camps that are inside a bit further as well. They are typically spaced at about, I'd say about 20 meters from each other, more or less. This campsite that we're on has a fair amount of space from the others. I think the nearest camp is about, I'd say 30 to 40 meters from here in either direction. So very nice, you know, this, you kind of feel secluded here. I can imagine though that if the campsite is full, to be a bit more close quarters, but the thing is that you do have trees and the natural vegetation in between you doesn't block off the campsites from one another, but it certainly doesn't feel crowded, and I don't think it would feel crowded if the site was completely full. So the campsites are not formally demarcated, but it's pretty obvious where a campsite is, and the land is cleared and there are trees around it, so you can't confuse one campsite from another. It's not possible. And there are a significant amount of trees between the campsites as well. So the campsites are, I think, delineated fairly well. Size-wise, each individual campsite is not that large. Our tent and vehicle is taking up most of our campsite. So you could probably fit, for example, one caravan. I don't think you could easily fit 2 caravans here. It's relatively small from that point of view. I would say on our campsite we could fit 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 tents at a squeeze, probably 3 comfortably, and then we'd have to park the vehicles away. Even that's really difficult. I think this is the kind of place where you could comfortably put 1 vehicle and 1 tent or set of tents or something along those types of combinations. There are also dustbins to put your garbage in. Attached to the ablutions are places where you can wash your laundry or your dishes. That is accessible, and it also has cold water and hot water as you would have in the ablutions. The ablutions of course have lighting as well, just as the campsite has lighting. There isn't general lighting in the campsite. There's only lights at the campsite, which I quite like because then it means you don't have this flood of light the whole evening. Much prefer it when it's quiet and dark and you can just listen to the night sounds and enjoy your fire. Purchaseables. You can get diesel if you make an arrangement, 40 liters maximum. We've only managed to get 20 because they are running a bit short of stock now because there was no electricity and they had to run the generator. So otherwise you can get a maximum of 40 liters of diesel. There's no petrol. You can buy ice, you can buy wood, you can buy drinks, you can buy probably some basic snacks from the bar, but that's about it. There isn't really a shop per se at Robins. And obviously you can buy food because there's a restaurant. You get laundry done as well. Game drives and game walks can be arranged here. So you can speak to management or you can speak to the National Parks office, which is directly adjacent to the campsite, and you can arrange game drives or game walks. Speaking of the Zim Parks office, you pay for your camping and food, etc. at Robins Camp. However, your vehicle entry fees, your conservation fees, etc. for entering Hwange National Park, you pay for at the Parks office. So when you drive in through Matsetse and then through Nantwich Gate, where they will take register of you having come in, you don't pay anything at Nantwich Gate. You pay when you get here to the Robins Camp National Parks office. One of the nice things about camping at Robins Camp is that you have access then to the facilities at the Robins Camp Lodge. So there's a swimming pool, cool, because it's hot. There's a restaurant where you can get breakfast, lunch and dinner. You've got to make arrangements to have lunch and dinner because they cook a set amount and all that sort of thing. There is also a bar, which is very nice. So you can go have drinks there, or you can order drinks from there and bring them to your campsite. So that's also a nice facility to have access to. You can buy ice also, and there's a viewing deck, so you can go up to the viewing deck and have a look out over the park. Because it's very woody and stuff, you can't really see much from the viewing deck, but it is kind of nice to see these fairly large plains going out into the park, but it is all wooded, so you don't see a lot of animals from the viewing deck. The nearest towns from here, Victoria Falls and Hwange Town. Both of these are pretty established towns. Victoria Falls is a bit more significant and more of a bustling town than Hwange Town, but in either place you will get fuel, you'll have supermarkets, and you can get general stuff that you require. So one of the difficult things with traveling in Zim so far is being able to pay for stuff easily. Now, generally you've got to pay in US dollars for a lot of stuff. So for fuel, for example, you've got to pay in US dollars. This is one of the few places we've been to where we're camping where you can pay using a Visa card or a MasterCard. A lot of other places we've had to pay by cash, or in some cases we've been able to pay for stuff using a Zimbabwean bank card, but that's quite limited to groceries, for example, and that sort of thing. So it's quite nice that here there is access to a Visa or MasterCard facility, so you can pay with a normal international credit card. Gate times are 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. So you can't be out in the park after 6 p.m. You've got to be back into your campsite at 6 p.m. and you can't go out until 6 a.m. Of course, if you get a game drive, then you have the advantage of being able to go out a bit earlier and also to come back a bit later at about 7 p.m. is when the game drives run until. The campsite is fenced, as I've mentioned, and there's also a fenced pathway to the lodge. So at no time are you actually outside of the fence when you're inside Robin's camp. Our reception has been very welcoming. We've found that the management and staff have been on the ball. When we've needed something, they've arranged it. Needed diesel, they arranged it. Needed Wi-Fi, they sorted it out. Asked to have the toilets doomed or insect sprayed because there's quite a few mosquitoes in there, and they sorted that out. The site's very clean, very well looked after. On our first night, just after we got here and set up camp, they came to see that everything was fine and that we were set up and all sorted out. The electricity is working. Everything's clean. I really have nothing to complain about. We are the only people in the campsite at this stage. On our first night here, there was another couple. It's been very quiet, but the place is generally pretty good. They haven't emptied out the bins in the time that we're here, and that could be just because there's such few people on the site. The lodge chalets are adjacent to the campsite. They are separated by a fence. There's a clear demarcation between the two areas. It's been relatively quiet. If it's full, maybe you could hear a bit of noise from the lodges. Maybe they could hear a bit of noise from the campsite, I don't know. But yeah, they are pretty close, they're right on the boundary. I don't think it's a negative in any way, shape or form. The advantage of the campsite over the lodge is that the campsite is on the boundary of the park, so you have views into the national park. Things to note. Number one, this is a malaria zone, like much of the lower areas in Zimbabwe. There's a lot of mosquitoes here. We've come across, as we've come across in many places. Obviously, now that it's rained, there are quite a few more mosquitoes. So be prepared. Also, I highly recommend that you have insect repellent to keep those mosquitoes off you. The mosquitoes are an issue at night, really more than in the daytime. So it's more really an evening issue than a daytime issue. Number two, it's hot, very hot. So today is probably about 35 degrees or so Celsius. It's quite humid actually. It's not crazy humid, but it is quite humid. So it is really hot here, so you've got to stay hydrated. Of course, if you're prone to sunburn, then you must have sunscreen as well. There are definitely monkeys and baboons in the area. We've seen them in the park. We haven't seen them in the campsite. We've seen some evidence of baboons, but we haven't seen them in the campsite. They certainly haven't interfered with us. I'm surprised that we haven't at all had any interactions with any monkeys or baboons in the campsite, but it's a nice surprise. We've seen some bush babies in the evening in the trees, which is really nice. Although it's fenced, it is possible for smaller animals to come into the campsite. Last night we saw a large spotted genet just outside the camp. That was really nice. So sitting here having our braai, and a spotted genet walks past, so that's pretty cool. So some of the smaller animals can probably come in through the fence. We've seen some warthog this morning as well, but I wouldn't say it's anything significantly large and dangerous. So stuff to do, of course, Hwange National Park, you go out and do some wildlife viewing, and because we're right here on the fence, you can actually just sit here and view the wildlife as it goes past. You can go on guided walks, you can go on game drives, you can go and swim, you can go up to the viewing deck, and you can go and sit in the pub as well. So what type of camp is this for? Well, basically for anyone. It's easy to get here. There's all the facilities that you could require. Yeah, I think anybody could camp here. Obviously, to get to a town is a significant drive from here, so you've got to bring most of what you need with you. The fact that you can eat here and get drinks here and swim and all that here means that it's a really simple camping setup and very convenient as well. It's also really good for families and kids because you can keep them entertained at the swimming pool. This is, I'd say, anybody can camp here. This is really and all types of camper friendly camping site. So in comparison to all the other camping sites that we've been to so far in Zim, This is probably the best one. I'm just going to say, directly, this is the best campsite that we've been to. It's really easy camping and it's really nicely set up and it's really nicely run too. So if you're not keen on off-grid camping and unfenced camping, that sort of thing, then this is the kind of campsite to come to. Quick recap. What is here? Electricity, lighting, cold water, which is drinkable, hot water from a set of solar geysers. Ablutions, that's flush toilet and showers and basins, plenty of shade, concrete bench and table for eating and preparing stuff and putting stuff on, built braai stand. It's a fenced campsite. There's a restaurant available, there's a swimming pool available, there's a bar available, there are dustbins, there's Wi-Fi as well, but you may have to go for a bit of a walk to get the Wi-Fi. What's not here? No groceries, although you can buy food and stuff. No petrol, you get a limited amount of diesel. No cell phone signal, but there is Wi-Fi available. So would I recommend Robin's Camp? Obviously, 100%. It's a fantastic campsite. Really enjoyed it. It's been great camping here. We are right on the fence. Our campsite number 13 is right on the campsite boundary. If you find the channel useful, so I hope you found that informative. If you did, hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed, then please do subscribe. Thanks to everyone that has subscribed. Really appreciate you guys' support. Also leave a comment below, leave a question below if you want some information. Love to hear back from you, love to get feedback from you guys as well. If you find it helpful, if you find the channel helpful, there's a link below. You can click on there and buy me a coffee. Absolutely 100% up to you, no pressure at all, of course. And until the next episode, go everywhere, see everything, have a great time.